Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. Grab yourself a cozy cup of tea because today's video is gonna be a really nice one. Knowledge of mental health has taken a massive upswing lately, and on the whole I think that is a brilliant thing. But it is something that I'm very aware of, that the music industry especially has a terrible track record of and with, and often the perpetrators of these things that can harm our mental health are the musicians themselves. I wanted to make this video kind of talking to any musicians who are watching this, any teachers who are watching this, and also anybody that is considering going into the industry. What can you do to protect yourself? Because music is something which is so incredibly personal. You're putting your art out there and people are critiquing it by way of buying your EP or not, booking you for gigs or not, turning up to your concerts or not. So it can be really tough, and I do want to say that there are no two ways about that. This is a tough industry, and a lot of the inhabitants of the industry are highly sensitive people, and that can get difficult because highly sensitive people can often react in quite a negative way to pressure and overstimulus, which again is unfortunate because a lot of this industry is made up of pressure and overstimulus. So I really hope that this video will be helpful. I hope it will give you some food for thought, and a lot of it is just things that I've learned over the last 8 years of freelancing, and before that I've been in this music industry for a long time. Well, basically my entire life I have been involved with music in some way or another. I'm just kind of gonna read off my points. There isn't a massive order to this, so get comfy and let's crack on. Also gonna put my phone on silent because it was buzzing all through that intro. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is social media, and obviously this is a massive part of our lives now, and I know a lot of musicians that are just not on social media at all. They really hate it when people post what they're up to and what gigs they're doing. I obviously do not agree with that, particularly when it comes to Instagram. I actually have 4 separate Instagram accounts, which may sound ridiculous, but bear with. My brain really likes categories. What I do is I have a personal Instagram account which I post on maybe once or twice a year. It's a private account, and that's the one I use when I want to have a little scrolly scroll, I want to relax, I want to take in some, uplifting media. The accounts on there, I am very strict with what I follow. Anything that is not uplifting, basically I unfollow, because that account for me is just pure escapism, relaxation, house inspo, all that kind of stuff. And then I have my work account. So this is the one that I post about what gigs I'm up to, and that's mainly it really. Any releases that are coming out that I played on, and just kind of keeping my aunt, to be quite frank, up to date with what I am up to and where I am. I also started that account because, like I say, some musicians are like, ugh, I hate it when I see what gigs people are doing. It's like, oh, just crack on with it. And I understand what they're saying, but I also disagree. I really enjoy that Instagram account for looking back on, because it's a bit of a record. Obviously, I don't post everything that I do on there because sometimes I forget to take a picture. Sometimes the picture I take is terrible and I don't really want to post it. But, it can be really fun to look back on the gigs that I've done and, how far I've come and just all that kind of stuff. So I really like that account. And then my third account is my fashion and beauty account. And that one for me is my hobby. I spoke about hobbies in my video last week. I'll have it linked up here and also in the description bar. And for me, that is my hobby. I really enjoy clothes and outfits and putting things together and all of that. So I have a creative outlet for that via that Instagram account. And then the fourth one is pictures of my dog, which again, I don't post on as much as I should. I keep getting told off by my husband for not posting on it more often, but it's just, yeah, it's just a lovely place that I can put pictures of her, and I basically post the pictures that I don't want to lose on there so that they just have, you know, somewhere to exist. But the reason that I have all of those accounts is because then if I'm having a day off, or if I'm having a particularly bad comparison day, or, you know, I'm on holiday and I don't want to be thinking about work stuff at all, then I don't go onto my work account. I have that choice. I have that separation. I'm not going to be scrolling on my personal account and then come across, you know, a really cool gig that some people I know are doing and then feel rubbish because I'm not on it. That's not going to happen. So I protect myself through that. Now, I know that might seem a bit overwhelming, but for me, it really, really works. Sorry, that segment was really, really long, but I could do a whole video on social media. So let me know if that would be something that you would enjoy. The next thing is to focus on the work that you enjoy. And now I appreciate that this is so often easier said than done, and we all have to make allowances. We all have to do jobs that we're not the most keen on because, you know, we have bills to pay and rent and mortgage and dogs to feed. But the majority of the time, we actually have a huge amount of choice and ownership over what we do, especially if you are like me and you are self-employed. Literally, you are the person choosing what you do. This comes back to the point that I've made before, which is you will do more of what you do. So be really selective, be picky about the things that you enjoy and that you want to do more of, because it'll all build on itself. So yeah, when possible, choose the avenues of work that you know that you'll enjoy, because whilst I don't entirely agree with the phrase, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, there is an element of truth to it, because if I'm going to play in an orchestra playing film scores for the day, yes, I'm tired at the end of it because I've been physically doing things. I've had an amazing day, and I will choose that over most other jobs every day of the week. Apologies for sounding like your mother, but eat well on gigs. It's so tempting because often you're with your friends and, you know, you've just finished a day of rehearsals, you've got an hour and a half until the concert, and quite frankly, all you want is a burger. Fine, have the burger, but maybe not every time. And this is something which I am not kidding. I think I've only really realised how much of a difference this makes to me personally in the last couple of months. Genuinely. Because I think it can often feel like a bit of an occasion, and especially when you're starting out and you're not doing loads and loads and loads of gigs, anytime you do have one, you're like, oh, this is great, I'm on a gig, I'm having a great time, we've all gone to a lovely restaurant, and I want to have something really, really tasty. Fine, obviously, that's fine. But when that starts becoming multiple times a week, number one, it gets expensive. And actually that was one of the things when I did my tax return, my latest tax return, the amount I had spent on food was shocking. Yeah, okay, I can claim it back against tax and whatever, but it was a lot. So this year I'm making a real effort to take my own food more often, or if I do go to a restaurant, I obviously don't want to sit there eating out of the Tupperware, and often they don't allow you to. So just be mindful of what you're choosing, because if you're feeling rubbish in yourself, your mental health will deteriorate very quickly. And also, I just find that, you know, if I've eaten out a lot, then my weight will start to fluctuate a lot, and that doesn't exactly help my mental health either. So it's just something which, you know, it's not, this is the least fun portion of this video. But yeah, just learn what foods actually make you feel good, actually give you energy, and yeah, I promise you'll feel a lot better for it. I know, I'm so sorry. And speaking of your body working to its optimum, sleep, just sleep. Nothing is worth sacrificing your sleep for, especially because what we do is very physical. You need to sleep in order for your muscles to actually repair and recover. And if you are skipping sleep, you are putting yourself in serious risk of injury. So just please, 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 sleep. Time off is such an oxymoron. As a self-employed freelancer, the time off guilt is probably the thing that I have struggled with the most. I would argue that maybe in the last, few weeks, I've made such good progress, helped by the fact that my husband bought me a very, very good game for my birthday that I want to play all the time, but that's beside the point. But my work routine is very unusual. In a world of 9 to 5s, or 8 to 6s, or whatever it is that you work, those have never ever been my hours. I work on weekends, often both days. Rehearsals and shows are never at sociable times of day. So for example, tomorrow I have rehearsals from 2 till 9, and then the next day we're working 3 till 10, whenever the concert finishes. So I have those mornings off, but then I'm working later into the evening. So, and then I'm working all day Saturday, then we have Sunday off. Delightful. Taking the time off when you feel like you should be doing something because it's 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday and most other people are at work. I find that so difficult, and I'm not 100% sure why. I think it's a slight productivity thing, which we're working on. Now, my home setup is that my husband has a sort of regular office job, and he goes into the office a couple of days a week, and then he's working from home the other days. So I actually find it much easier to have the time off when he's in the office, just because, if he's home and he's working, again, I kind of feel a bit bad. And he has said so many times that I should just chill, but who really listens to their husbands anyway? But I know that about myself now. So yesterday, for example, I got up, I walked the dog, I came back, I had some breakfast, I played Assassin's Creed for a few hours because I was like, I'm going to be working on Saturday, I'm going to be working late on this, I've got to take this time off. And also I could just feel that I needed it. It's been a busy few weeks, and I was like, the most productive thing I can do right now is rest and time out and just mentally switch off. And it was the best thing I could have done, because then after lunch I was so productive, and I wouldn't have been had I not taken that time. So yeah, embrace the time off when you get it and schedule it in as well, because that's also important. When it comes to practicing and learning all your music and doing all the good stuff, I've definitely found that the little and often approach is just the best one for me. So I actually got into a really nice routine that I really, really like. Either I walk Tilly or I do some yoga and then go for a run, come back, breakfast, shower, all of that stuff, and then I do my practice. I've just found that that's a really, really good routine for me because I'm more of a morning person. I'm not really either, to be honest, but if I had to pick one, probably be morning. And so I'm most productive then. And it's great because I can settle down with my morning coffee and get comfy, get cozy, and get some practice done. Because then it's done and I don't have to think about it. I'm very much a get the most important thing done first person. Because then that thing is the thing that is the biggest mental load for me. So it's done, which means it frees up so much more capacity for me to do any other tasks that I have to do that day. And because I have the luxury of being able to completely dictate my schedule at the moment, I am absolutely making the most of that. That will not be the case for a majority of my life, I'm well aware. Therefore, I'm just taking advantage of the fact that I can do it now. Now, this is another one that might be a little bit easier said than done, but having friends outside of the industry that you are working in is vital. As I mentioned earlier, my husband is not in the music industry at all, and my best friend is also not in the music industry, and I rely on them so heavily obviously I rely on them anyway, but I rely on them to give me a different perspective on what's going on. They're a sounding board for me to just kind of bounce ideas off of because they're objective. They're not in it. It doesn't really affect them, if that makes sense. If I'm talking about wanting to get into a particular area of the industry, then the person that I'm talking to may feel that either I'm hoping for, some help from them, or they might think, oh no, like that's competition or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It can be so loaded when you are talking to other musicians about these things. So for me, having those people that I can just turn to and rant at and talk about all of these things with is so important. But also, you can talk about other things. Musicians, when they get together, and I am as guilty of this as anybody, and I absolutely love it. It is no bad thing. But they can get very kind of obsessed is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. They can get very introspective and very fixated on what they're doing and what they're playing and what the conductor was like that day and who's got a job where, and you know, all of these things, and it can become such a bubble. So having just influences on your life that are outside of that are just, I cannot stress enough how invaluable that is. And then the last thing that I wanted to sort of throw into this video, it's knowing that you don't have to do anything. You don't actually have to do it. So for example, if you really don't like traveling, then focus on local gigs and more teaching so that you're not traveling far away, you're not doing gigs around the country. That's fine. You don't have to do that. Providing you live near a reasonably major city, you won't have to travel really far if you don't want to. Now, obviously that does limit your playing opportunities, but it doesn't completely negate them entirely. So therefore, that's where things like teaching, online tutoring, a job outside the music industry, I know, shock horror, they all come into play. And so you don't have to travel if you don't want to. So I hope that this video has just given you a little bit of food for thought for what you can do, or also just a little bit of a perspective into what I do to look after my mental health. Like I say, it's so important. You know, if you haven't got your health, you don't have anything, and that refers to physical and mental health. So please take care of yourself. And as always, if you have anything that you specifically do or that you found really helpful, then please do comment it down below. You will be helping so many people. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.